have a question for General Counsel. I mean, with regards to our notification of imminent liability based on an occurrence of fire, is there any legal precedent that there is truly some consequence, or is it really just an empty threat?
For the weeding, I believe it's in the health and safety code. Off the top of my head, the district is allowed to go in and abate the weeds in the statute. I don't know of any other legal precedent other than that off the top of my head.
The comment was that if the weed nuisance is on a parcel where there's an occupied residence, we would not abate the weeds. We would send them a notification that they would be liable, could potentially be liable in the event of a fire occurrence. So I guess my question is there any teeth to that, or is it just, lip service?
You know, I've never looked into that issue. I could look into it and get back to you though, if you'd like. If you're curious.
So just to answer that question also, so when a fire occurs, you look at the cause and origin of the fire, and then you look at the contributing factors of fire spread. And so if you have an ordinance in place stating the purpose of cutting the weeds is to mitigate a nuisance or a hazard, and then that becomes a contributing factor to fire spread where damage could occur, then they can be held responsible on the damage portion that contributed to. And that goes if you were out and you had a little bonfire in your yard, or you're trying to burn and it got out of control, and you didn't take proper precautions to maintain it, you can be held responsible for the damage that fire causes and the cost of suppression.
Wow.
So it's kind of it's a whole fire ordinance and how the damage is done and what the cause is, and that would basically fall under. We can't go onto an occupied property if they say no trespassing, you're not coming on my property. We can't go on to that property, but the threat still exists.
And I completely agree.
Yeah.
Agree with that policy. My thought is, if we're just saying that you're potentially liable, is there some other avenue that would have potentially more likely consequences?
Well, part of it is like, I'm not gonna cut my weeds. I know they're a threat. I'm gonna gamble that there's gonna be no fire and it's not gonna cost me nothing. And unfortunately, there is only so much we can do.
Right.
Code enforcement, like through the county and levying some kind of penalty on them and stuff gets labor intensive, and it's not counterproductive. In some cases where it's a true threat, we've had one in town in the past with a business that was a true threat to the structure and surrounding structures, that had to be mitigated. So we had the authority to go in and use codes, county codes, environmental codes, things like that, and we got rid of it.
Okay.
So yes, there is. It's just how far do we have to push it to mitigate the hazard?
Okay.
I think it'd be more of an insurance
Thank you,
issue.
Elaine.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm looking it up as you guys are talking also.
Okay.
What's that?
So we're basically just looking,
Yeah, I gave you one for the treatment.
Well, that's embarrassing.
the board approved and adopt this resolution would abate the hazardous weeds of public nuisance and direct staff to proceed with notification.
The Dayton Fire Department's on the list, right?
Are there any other board comments?
Our own facilities on the list.
Just out of curiosity, I did pull up the code from the government code 6100. Apparently, the board of directors shall be deemed to be a board of supervisors for abating weeds.
Yes, what happens is this abatement, once it gets to that process and you guys okay it going on the tax bill, that goes to the board of supervisors. They have to also approve to put it on the tax bill.
Okay.
So the statute doesn't say anything, Director Sangster, just my initial review of it, about the in-depth liability.
Okay.
I would think that'd be an insurance issue that would be brought upon by an investigation of the initial fire.
The likelihood of it coming into play is probably fairly remote. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure it's not really much of a.
Well,
Well, it comes back to, again, are you gonna gamble and not cut your weeds? But if you do gamble and a fire does start, and that goes into the law of arson and gross negligence and all that kind of stuff. It's no longer the whole weed abatement issue.
Right.
So basically, on the weed abatement issue, no, there's probably no statute saying that that is what you're gonna be penalized for. The penalty's gonna come later with, your field burns and it gets the next door house and a child's inside and dies to the fire. Someone's gonna be held accountable for that. And in my experience over the years, it goes back to the origin, the cause, and what contributed to it. And the individuals responsible for that are held accountable.
Yes, because there's enough case law and precedents for that. I mean, they just found PG&E liable for some of those fires in Northern California.
Case in point.
Yeah, so.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Elaine. We have no further board comment. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Calvin's,
Second?
Sangster? Director Parent,
Yes.
Director Calvin's,
Yes.
Director Palafox,
Yes.
Vice President Sangster.
Yes.
Passes 4-0, 1 absent.
Move on to item number 7. Lucky 7. Review and authorize release of a request for proposal seeking contractual services for financial audits for fiscal years 2018-19, 2019-20, 2020-21 to be circulated for competitive bidding process.
So this is for our audits. Our last auditor's contract expired with the completion of this last audit. They completed 3. I must say they did a very good job. We're very pleased. We've got great reviews on those. Now that that's complete, we have to send out an RFP requesting submitted bids for the future contract portion, 3 years. I've had some dialogue with Director Sangster on this, and it's submitted as written, and if you guys have anything you'd like to add or change, I entertain your contribution strongly.
Do you have any public comment on this item? Board comment?
Oh, we do.
Okay. I guess I'll be the board comment.
Yeah.
So, we obviously want to have this on the street probably sooner rather than later so we can get the evaluation complete and award somebody prior to fiscal year.
Yes.
19.
Yeah, we would like to be able to, we had a time frame, is it?
Yeah, time.
On your
Set
future
by
board
July,
agendas.
before July 1st.
It would be awarded and go out notification made, and they would have it by
Did you
July
have that?
1st.
Future board meeting items.
Yeah, July 1st. So essentially the beginning of the fiscal year. So question 1 is, how long do you intend to post this publicly?
Here. So here has to be
Okay,
in the
so,
office.
just give me a second to review my.
So it's going out as soon as possible.
Yeah, so with the approval, it would go out and competitive bids would be, due by May 31st, 4:30 here at the district, so it would encompass the full month of May, to get in the bids. At that point, it would be reviewed May, by June. Well, we'd have 2 weeks to review all of them.
Yeah, so it comes in on May 31st, and then they review the top 3 will be presented to you guys in the June meeting. With all the
I'm sorry, the reason I'm confused is I thought we had it before the June meeting.
No, they need
We
to,
would review them, I submit them, the 3 top bids, then you guys would have that opportunity to check those, and providing you pick one of the top 3, a notification would go out July 1st to the ones who we chose.
So are we the evaluation committee?
Yes, well, no, so we, say if I get 5 bids, he makes the top 3. The top 3 to come to you guys and you decide
And we
on.
basically would look at the standards that were
criteria,
outlined
isn't
in the criteria for the RFP, and then, like, is that the top 3?
And usually they come to the meeting.
Okay,
The auditors will come.
We'll come here and make a presentation to each one of you individually.
okay.
So we would notify them, we would get them, and then, within the 2 weeks, notify them, they would have a week to 10 days to know that they would appear here, that they were the top 3 candidates.
Sure.
So then they could come in and you could ask them questions to make your decision, and then they would leave, and then we would notify the person we chose out of that group by July 1st.
Okay.
And Director Calvins has been through this process a couple of times, he might be able to help us in the questions.
Sometimes it didn't go as,
Actually, I was gonna bring up something.
Yeah.
In the RFP process, because we had, a auditor that didn't quite pan out, or things didn't quite go as planned. Do we have any way to ensure though that they decide they're gonna drop contact, or, whether we're gonna be able to get our documents back? Do you remember what I'm referring to?
I wasn't in any of those meetings, I don't know if Rob was.
details on that?
We would like as much help as possible, because it's our first one with the auditors. Me, I don't-
There needs to be some document or some verbiage in the contract that states that you still own your paperwork.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That was an issue with one of our auditors that had been our auditor for a long time and
Right.
had separated
Yeah.
on less than
Oh,
favorable
okay.
terms and was refusing to provide documentation.
That would be in the contract, not in the RFP.
Okay, so I was thinking agreement.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that it at some point gets touched, we don't go back down that route. and
Well,
it's-
I don't think that there was a contract with that first
It doesn't
auditor.
really fit in terms of scope of work, so
Mhm.
that's really a contractual.
We'll remember that one though, because we're gonna need that.
And I wanna put it out there, I've also solicited with, Director Sangster has an in-depth knowledge on RFPs and contracts to, assist if you guys are all aware of that. So I look for all input and help, and it's good to have knowledge, and this is something that you guys have to review and decide on. So, if you do have that kind of experience and knowledge, I entertain the support.
What is the area that we're gonna put this out to? Is there like a certain territory, or are we doing statewide, or what?
So what we have in the RFP right now is within 150 miles of the district.
Okay,
And the places I know of putting it is CSDA website has a place that's free online that a bunch of people go to. We can put it towards the construction, what do they call them? Where, plan rooms. And I'm looking in to see what the cost would be to put a small thing in the newspaper to go to our website to get that. And we have to post it out front.
Have you ever looked into public purchase or fiscal?
I've looked into them and, they're fine. I get a public records request for them monthly now. So, but we couldn't afford their services.
Also, any firm that called to request it, but they
Yeah, or
have to
email.
meet the RFP.
right.
I guess I can't go down and
Can we do
find
things other
people.
than that? I'm just concerned about the time window on this RFP. Is that kind of small, or is it not?
No, it isn't. I mean,
Standard?
for something that's a professional services, I would normally run for a 30-day period.
Okay,
I would do sourcing prior to release of the RFP, meaning that I will reach out to known entities. For example, if you were happy with the services we have for our current provider, I would notify them that we're putting out a bid for the same services and alert them where to find the documents so that they can review them and submit a proposal before the close date.
Okay.
So you would have a list of known companies,
okay.
let them all know, and I mean, if we're not using a service like public purchase, in that case, it sends it out to people who are registered with that commodity code. So if you're looking for that professional service, it would send it to everybody that's registered. But if we're not using something like that, then the sourcing becomes a bit more of an important component, where we would get more response with the greater number of sources that we alert to it being out there.
I have a question with that, cause you're expert pretty much on this. I heard that I couldn't go and like pick certain people. They'd have to come to me and ask for the RFP. Is that correct? Or can I go just in the,
But he said
Email
you
or-
could notify them and let them know that you're releasing.
can I go
RFP.
like down Google and find everybody within 150 miles and let them all know?
You can. I mean,
Okay.
ultimately-
You're not necessarily giving them the RFP, right? You're not handing it to them,
It's
you're
just
saying,
telling
hey,
them this is where you find
click
it?
this link.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole point of the process is it needs to be fair and equitable for any company to
Okay.
submit a proposal to, you know,
Public
for a
agency.
public agency for public purchase. And I don't know that we have the same level of, to meet, as I, like, working for the state.
You have
I
a
don't
time
know that we
limit.
have the same,
So it's just making sure
requirements.
everybody gets the same RFP, there's
right.
no
So you-
special RFP
Right.
for some special
You
person?
could not alter it in any way, it's
Okay.
one
Same for
document,
everybody.
it goes out to everybody and anyone that would request it. So normally, if you're posting it somewhere publicly, they would have access to download it, they simply download it, and when they're ready, they submit their proposal, and it's gotta be received before the closed bid date and time.
Okay, I can do that.
So that should be very specific, whatever date it's closing at May 31st at 3 P.M.
Yeah.
So if your bid is not here by that time, you, no proposal, well, you're late, we can't include it, you're non-responsive.
Okay. I have collected a few RFPs before, I do know that process.
Yeah, and then again, really best practices, I know that what I'm doing at the state level, we have a significant level of compliance factors that we have to abide by, and I would say as a public agency, we should probably try to stick within those as best practices. So sourcing would be probably pretty important in this, since we don't have an avenue to just post it where they're gonna respond electronically.
The nice part of me looking into the CSDA, it's California Small Districts Association. Most of the auditors and people around do go there to look for it. What we did put in there is a 150-mile radius. That will cut things down quite a bit, but that's just in there. It depends if you guys want it in or not.
You guys don't think it'll cut down on quality as well as quantity?
Well, it encompasses Santa Maria and it encompasses Salinas.
Okay,
So you need to have someone that's willing to, you
and
know.
Fresno and Bakersfield for that matter.
I think the
Yeah.
point is to try to avoid is paying traveling costs or someone say coming from a longer distance and then you're on a higher end of that.
Interestingly enough,